If you need some inspiration for your Bionicle creations, we got you covered. Let's take a look at some Bionicle Barraki revamps today and give you some ideas for your upcoming Bionicle builds. And hey, enjoy an extra Biss episode this week. Yay! We'll start off with a mock by Deka Corridera, and it's called Morak the Blood Usurper. Now look, technically this isn't a Takedox revamp, it's a totally different character. But I think the ideas of this you could easily apply to a Takedox revamp. You know, the idea of building a gunmetal and black color scheme version of Takedox, honestly that's sick. You know, it's like they've put on a stealth suit and they're ready for a secret mission, or they've powered up and this is their final form, or this is maybe Takedox's brother or their evil twin. It can be whatever you want, right? The concept of a different colored version or a final form for another character, I've always thought that was super cool, so maybe you could do a revamp of this character that has a new color scheme or a new style or a new total redesign like this. And then the great thing about that Takedox mask is that it actually comes in a variety of different colors. You get it in gunmetal, you actually get two of them in Takanuva Mystica, there's two on the shoulders there. And then if you want, you can also get one in white. It comes in the Toa Terrain Crawler, the System Bionicle playset. So yeah, with that, you could build all sorts of different versions of this character. And hey, this isn't the only mask that comes in a variety of different colors. Why not do a cool recolored version of an iconic character or a character you've made, or build their evil twin, whatever. Anyway, the mock itself I think is awesome. This cool looking staff with the larger blades up top, but then a slightly smaller version that looks very similar to that on the bottom there as well. That's nice. And I also love these Rakshi heads on the knees and the gunmetal CCBS armor on the torso. It's very sleek and stylish, especially with how it's angled like that. So pretty. Such a good mock. Up next, we have a lovely revamp of Prydak by 1004 Gree 2. It's great to see a revamp of Prydak that actually resembles qualities of a shark, because the original set, it was meant to have that kind of shark motif. And I mean, it like roughly does, I can kind of see it, but to me it just looks like any other random sea creature, not something that's like specifically a shark. But this mock has a lovely CCBS heavy design that creates some really smooth textures that I think mimics the look of shark skin very, very well. And also the shark tail coming out of the back, that's a nice detail, and the big old shark fin coming out of Prydak's head. It's a good way to make it look like, you know, a shark fin. Of course, that was present on the original set as well, but I think some of these additional spikes that were coming out of the arms kind of just crowded that area a bit too much, and it stopped looking all that much like a dorsal fin on the top of a shark. So removing that was a very good idea, and it looks so much better. Also, this belt design, it's using the treasure piece that was seen in a variety of different colors in the Atlantis Lego sets. And check out how it neatly slots into the back section of that foot piece. What an interesting connection. I had no idea that could work, but it does. So yeah, great idea. Carapar is next, and Trickmox is who built this one. Now, giving them a lower jaw, honestly, it just makes sense. The original set had that upper jaw, but nothing below it. So it kind of just finishes off their head design here in a really nice way. Now, something else that I think looks great is the introduction of some brown pieces into this creation. It mixes well with Carapar's uniquely colored armor, and it works well enough too with the dark bluish gray pieces that are on the legs too. I can get behind that. I also love the energy of these shoulder pads, the way they flare up on the sides. That just looks great. This is a lovely revamp. Now we have Mantak's Pre-Mutation by Ryan the Movie Maker. Now that's an important detail in the Bionicle storyline, is that the Barraki were actually mutated by the Mutrogen that was inside the pit, the underwater area that they were exploring, the prison cell. And the idea of that presents a really fun challenge. How did they look before they were mutated? And Ryan has done an incredible job of presenting exactly that. What I love about this is that it still looks a lot like Mantak's. You know, the armor placement, the broad shoulders, the mask, it mirrors the official set very nicely. But they also have some different stuff at the same time. You know, looking at the mask, it has that minor fish-like quality to it. But the bottom area there, it kind of gives off like mustache vibes instead of the interesting fish face aesthetic that the original set had. Yeah, these minor changes make him feel less aquatic, but also just make sense that they would actually progress into that final set when they were mutated. I think it's just a brilliant balance that they've managed to capture there of being so different but so similar at the same time. Now, I love his hook and then his big old anchor weapon, such a fun idea. And speaking of which, I love this background, that's another really fun idea. The shelf at the top filled with all sorts of goodies like a candelabra and a mask. Such a nice touch. Yeah, I just love this mock. Now we move to Creeps from the Deep, Kalmar by Awesomeness Born. A pirate aesthetic for Kalmar, I think that's just perfect. Giving him a peg leg on one side and then this cool tentacle leg on the other, and giving him a nice flintlock pistol, such a fun idea for a weapon that just feels so fitting. And then the tentacle heavy face design, making him look like he's Davy Jones or something. This is so cool. Also, check out these snazzy looking shoulder pads using two of Antros's incredible mask. And not only does this give off a nice sinister flare with the spikes on the side of that mask that look great for shoulder pads, but the coloration of this, it works so well with the color blocking. The torso is just purely black, but then the marbled colors of this mask, they end in black and then nicely transition up into dark red. The gradient that transitions there is magnificent. I love how that looks. The orange tentacle arm is also really cool, and the inclusion of a little net with some stuff growing on it there. That's fun. It's like they got caught in a fisherman's net at one point, and they still haven't managed to get all that netting off of their arm. Just such a good inclusion. And another good inclusion is all the seaweed and the fish and the little crab on the floor. It's nice to add a little bit of extra context to this character. Yeah, this is just a delightful little build. And finally, here's a revamp of Elic built by Velka Best GB. Now, the way they've updated the head design here is just brilliant. You know, looking at the official set, it had that headpiece and then some of those lovely spikes that were separate but coming out of the back. So the idea of kind of bridging those two together and buffing out the area a little bit was great. You know, the inclusion of this green ribcage piece, the same ribcage that we saw on the set Skull Slicer, yeah, the inclusion of that bridges the face into the spine in just the perfect way. Plus, it also helps buff up the face a little bit, and it helps incorporate it into this new armor design. It's fantastic. And I just adore this string of teeth all along the mouth. Something so sinister and creepy about that, and since the Barraki were the creeps from the deep, that was the perfect new addition for this revamp. Especially those nice little transgreen pincers on the edge there, that caps it off in just such a nice way. This really is just wonderful. It's great to see a different take for Elic and his iconic claw design too, using other pieces to mimic the rough shape of those claw pieces. That was nice. It's a good way to update it, but you know, not use the same old piece that we saw on the set. Find a new way to do it. It's good. Yeah, this honestly might be one of my favorite Elic revamps I've ever seen. This is just wonderful. And that there is a revamp for every single Barraki. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope it gave you some inspiration for ideas for future Bionicle builds. Now, if you like what you saw here, check the description below where you can find links to these builders' social media. Please go check out their stuff, give them a like, give them a follow, comment on their stuff. And also in the description below is the submission email. So if you'd like to see your mocks featured on the Bionicle Inspiration series, you can submit them to that email. Otherwise, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy building, and bye for now.